To meet our defense needs, Congress has to work to grow our economy and significantly reduce our overall spending. And I can promise you that come 2025, spending reform will be a top priority for our new Republican majority. And they're not going to be easy conversations, but they are essential for our long-term survival. Congress has to prioritize the truly essential needs of our nation, and our national security has to be at the top of that list.
Now, that is the sort of thing you've heard politicians, especially Republicans, say probably throughout your entire life. They feign like, oh, they're gonna be tough conversations. It hurts me so as a rich individual to strip away the few benefits you get from the government. Oh, that's gonna hurt me so bad. But we need a $1.5 trillion military. We just need it, it's critical. And so we're gonna have some tough conversations. Now, he's not gonna be that specific there, but if you've been paying attention to American politics for long, you know exactly what he means. And so when you see in the newly passed RNC platform, hands off Social Security and Medicare or whatever, they are already telegraphing to you there are gonna be some tough conversations. And they're gonna be tough not for Mike Johnson or the rich, they're gonna be tough for you, the people who actually rely on those programs. And that said, while they're doing all the cutting, that forms the part of politics that Mike Johnson and politicians like him actually care about, they're going to be okaying Donald Trump's most radical impulses. He basically promises that here.
We will be dealing with this for decades to come. President Trump has said we want to start the largest deportation effort in history. It's needed. We need to find all these dangerous people, criminals. They've emptied out prisons in Central America and sent them all over the border.
Okay, so I just wanted to play that because I think it's important that you see that it is easy, and many Republicans will, to say, oh, Trump, he's a crazy guy. He says crazy things, but he doesn't mean it. And even if he does mean it, don't even worry about that stuff because we're the responsible ones in the room and we'll make sure that everything's okay. Well, Mike Johnson is saying, oh no, we're going to do that, 10, 15 million person deportation scheme. And we have to, they're coming from insane asylums and prisons. He knows that that's not true. He knows that that's just a line that Donald Trump uses, but he doesn't care because he doesn't care about the deportations.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
And I mean that in that if they didn't do it, he'd be perfectly happy, I think. And if they do it, he'd be perfectly happy. He's focused on injecting as much Christianity as possible into our government while cutting taxes for the rich and cutting benefits to those of you who actually rely on them. That is what he is going to be focusing on. And along the way, to keep Donald Trump happy, he'll give him all of his hobbies like deporting 15 million people or whatever. And so there are not going to be any adults in the room. There are not going to be any saner heads prevailing or anything. Donald Trump is going to get what he needs to keep the system going. Yas, what do you think?
I mean, remember Trump, he has never really had a political platform. He's run for president now his third time. He never has really offered much of a platform. This is the most that I think we've ever gotten from him. At one point, Mitch McConnell even said, we don't have a platform because it was easier for the Republicans to run without a platform than to define exactly what they want to do, because what they wanted to do, again, they know was very unpopular. But Trump has never had a plan for anything. He just says things at rallies and repeats it if enough people seem to like it. There have been times when people have asked him for more specific plans and he said, yeah, sure, I'll have one for you in like a week or two. And then he just doesn't, and nothing comes from it. No one asked for a follow-up. And this whole plan that we're seeing now, it just reeks of pandering to a voting base. It's rooted in fear and it's insulting to Republican voters. And to be fair, those voters are the same voters who are not following up when their preferred presidential candidate says things like build a wall. They're not out there asking how are you going to get this done? How is it going to get paid for? How is Mexico going to do it? Just as an example, of course. So, this is the plan that they've asked for. This is what they've given their people. This is what's going to scare people into showing up at the polls in November. And maybe it'll work out for them. I would like to think that the American people would want a little bit more from their elected leaders, from the president of the United States. But as history has shown, as recent history has shown, that may not be the case.
Yeah, and look, if he wins, it's gonna be because a lot of people are like, this is just, things aren't changing in the direction that I need them to. Prices are still too high, rent is still too high. Let's try something else. And I understand that impulse. And I just shudder for what their experience will be with that replacement, because they're going to make it so much worse. They're going to continue the Trump tax cuts. 45% of the benefits of which go to the absolute highest income households in America. Those making at least $450,000 a year would be the biggest winners, you'll be shocked to find out. The top 0.1%, they make at least $5 million a year. Every year they make $5 million, they'd get an extra 280 grand. Middle income households would get about $1,000. Maybe that'll help a little bit, okay? It's gonna help 1/280th as much as it will the most well-off households. That is what they are already guaranteeing they're going to do. And so I look forward to November, and I understand why some people might vote the way that they will, and they are going to be absolutely devastated by what they get as a result of that perhaps understandable behavior. Members make a difference here at TYT. You help make the show happen, and we see you in the chat with your loyalty badge. Click the join button to become a member today.